reasons people need to take kids out shooting guns and hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Long-term preservation of the Second Amendment, because if you grow up and you're like, oh, I have daughters, I have daughters, and people were like, oh, I guess if you have sons, you're going to teach them how to shoot, right? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm teaching my kids how to shoot. I'm Ryan Gresham, and this is Gun Talk Nation. This Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by SnapSafe, Tipton, CZ USA, Range Ready, Silencer Central, Franklin Armory, Smith & Wesson, Buildbox, EOTECH, and SecureIt. All right, welcome into Gun Talk Nation. Today on Gun Talk Nation, we've got Dan Dement, Franklin Armory. Welcome in, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's always good to see you.
Yeah, we ran into each other, I guess, a week or two ago out in Kansas City. The National Association of Sporting Goods Wholesalers. It's kind of the inside baseball show for the gun world. I think that people who are just gun enthusiasts, shooters, hunters, they're like, what the hell are you talking about? But it's one of those, it's a small show where all the distributors are there and you guys are selling to them. So, but man, I wanted to catch up because you guys are always doing new things. You were telling me about some new things you're doing, but also we started talking about hunting, guns you've been shooting lately and all that. So it's funny because there's the world of guns is so wide. It's wide and it's deep in a lot of ways, right? And I mean, there's certain brands that I don't mess with a whole lot, and it's not on purpose, but it's just hard to cover the whole waterfront on some things. I don't shoot a lot of full auto. Be fun, but but what kind of fun stuff have you been shooting lately?
Well, I think you hit, the nail on the head about how, we always talk a lot about Second Amendment and what that means. And, it wasn't about hunting and it was, about tyranny, there's all sorts of debates that go on about that. But if you think about it, for the history of, firearm world, right? It's a tool that's used in so many different applications. And even within each, so kind of from a marketing standpoint, each segment of a particular application of it. And I think you and I talked a little bit about it. You got hunting and it's like, okay, well, yeah, but do you deer hunt? Do you, varmint hunt? Do you waterfowl hunt? And some people are into birds, but they're either on team waterfowl or team upland.
Yeah, and there are people who are hunters who don't go to the shooting range, and they're the shooters who like to shoot the new whatever, like a Franklin Armory crazy binary trigger thing or whatever black gun thing there is. The ones that are having the arguments about M-Lock and key mod, and they don't hunt. So it's like, I was talking to a guy, Dan, having dinner with a couple weeks ago, and he's like a gun guy, hunter, but kind of new into the industry. And I said, well, the majority of gun owners don't hunt, and the majority of gun owners didn't get into owning guns because of hunting. And he was like, what? What? I thought that's how everybody got into guns. I'm like, no, there's about 10 million active hunters out there. There's 90 million gun owners. So the number one reason people own guns is for personal protection. That period, the end, right?
I was going to say, it's like, I would be really interested to know the stats behind that. But of course you have to bring your smartness, don't you?
Well, I can remember numbers.
But and even within that, I again, one of the stats you mentioned, NASGW, and they track, the industry and what different types of firearms are moving and stuff, and handguns, right? We talk about, hunting or black rifles, with the AR-15 platform, but handguns are still, I believe, by far the largest selling firearm in America, not in total gross volume, but for first time, firearm purchasers. because, to your point, personal protection.
Yeah, that's why people own guns. And then there's the other things that we enjoy, but across all of gun ownership, that's why people own guns, and that's why it's not about, hunting and all these other things. That's not what the Second Amendment's about.
No.
So you were telling me you got to shoot some full auto stuff lately?
Well, you mentioned something about the depth and breadth, if you will, of our industry, and with that comes knowing people. And we meet some really fun friends in our line of business, and some of those friends, yes, have access to even more fun toys. I mean, we always think the binary firing system definitely puts a smile on your face. That's why people like to call it, the giggle switch, if you will. But I got a chance to go out to the range with some local folks here, and they brought some very interesting firepower. And I fired full auto before in the past, and it's always fun. A lot of ammunition gets used, and so it's a little painful on the pocketbook these days as compared to say maybe about 10 years ago. But I tell you, I got a chance for the first time. Kind of I wouldn't necessarily call it an oldie, but a goodie, but I never fired it before, an H&K G36. And I tell you, that is, wow. For chambered in 5.56, it's, you don't expect it to really have a lot of recoil, anyways. But man, that is a smooth shooter. I really, really enjoyed that. And then if it could have been upstaged, I don't know if you ever had a chance to, little more of a newcomer in the block, but the Chris Vector, that thing is amazing. I think, what was it? Brandon Herrera called it a grease gun on crack or something like that in one of his videos.
I've heard about that gun. Full auto is very cool.
It is a neat, it's a neat gun all around. The ergonomics of it are something to get used to. I never necessarily have been a fan of and I'm blanking on it, but the Steyr, that's a Steyr AUG, right? I wasn't really a fan of that, just from a looks perspective of even shooting it. But I was thinking I was going to have the same feeling experience, when I first when I first saw the Chris Vector. But for me, shooting it made a believer out of me. I mean, that thing is ergonomically, it's great. Everything's where it should be. It fired unbelievably smooth. And the neat thing too is this one was equipped with the 2-round burst.
2-round burst.
Yeah, and that is really cool because I had been aware of it, and obviously we do some sort of kind of referencing it when we talk about the binary firing system. Right?
Well, I was thinking 2-round burst sounds like what you guys offer a little bit, right?
Yeah, which is classified as a semi-automatic trigger, because it is still only firing on the binary firing system, only 1 round per function of a semi-automatic trigger is defined by the ATF, right? Actually, not defined by the ATF, defined by the NFA, right? Our actual, legislation. But the burst option, which is, is the fully auto on the Chris Vector, is something else, and I can see why that is preferable, if you will, over 3-round, right? There's people's opinions. I've read a whole bunch of articles, seen some videos where full auto is one thing when it comes to controllability. 3-round burst was kind of trying to address that, to not only from a waste of ammunition but a little bit more controllable. 2 rounds seems to be the sweet spot.
That's interesting. Now, was this gun, the Chris Vector, was it in 9?
Yes.
Okay.
It was the 9. I think they're also 45 and 10. I think they have.
Yeah, they chamber him actually in a bunch of different things, but yeah, I think 45 and 10 millimeter are other kind of popular flavors. It also has a very fast cyclic rate, 1,200 rounds per minute, which I think an M4 is somewhere between 600 and 900 maybe. So this is
I was saying like 7, 8. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So in that ballpark. So it's quite a bit faster, like 50% faster as far as how fast it's shooting.
Oh, it was like, wow. There's very few, I mean, I kind of feel weird saying this, but after you've been in the industry for a while, you know, pure enjoyment of shooting something, right? And getting that kind of a new experience. And for most guns, it's, I've felt something similar before, that's something. But yeah, the Crisp Vector, there's nothing else like it.
I'll say this too. If people are listening to this and they're like, wow, that's amazing, but I'll never get a chance to shoot something like that, I would say that's not true. And if you're really interested in it, you can go places and rent machine guns and shoot them. So, I mean, if you travel a little bit,
Nevada.
But if somebody's in the East Coast and they've never been to Las Vegas, let me tell you, anything's possible in Las Vegas, as you might expect. I mean, there's several places in Las Vegas that are Machine Gun Las Vegas or Battlefield Las Vegas or whatever, where you can go in there and you can rent these guns and shoot them full auto. I think also some of the Guntree Club type places, like a Scottsdale Gun Club, same idea. You can rent those guns. So if you're sitting here listening to this and you're saying, man, I would love to shoot a Crisp Vector or any sort of full auto gun, you can do it. I mean, hey, make it a field trip, make it a little vacation where you go somewhere. I mean, take the wife to a spa, but then also, hey, I'm going to go shoot machine guns, right?
Well, and I mean, absolutely, there is the pay to play option, right? But as you were talking, probably one of the best ways to find yourself, whether it's full auto or just a plethora, a variety of different guns to get experience with, and especially like staying on the front end of the curve of new products. Become friends with your local gun dealer.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be the guy at, behind the counter at the big box retail store, or it could be the mom and pop shop. That's how I got it.
Yeah.
It was, somebody who carries ours locally. But we're on a friendly basis with it. We do a lot of our CCW courses through that local Carson Guns. I'll give them a little shout out here in Carson City. We're based just about a half hour south of Carson City in a small little town at the foot of the Sierra Nevada mountains called Minden. And like you said, Vegas is Vegas, and there's a lot of crazy stuff going on there. But, in other states, whether it's Nevada, Utah, anywhere, I mean, there's a lot of good, well-connected, FFL dealers that would be probably more than happy to bring you a good humored individual, such as a lot of the ones that are watching right now, bring you into their flock and say like, hey, this weekend we're going out and we're going to have some fun in the desert.
Yeah.
And that's it. We're going to have some fun in the desert. And that's how I got there. And I think without even having to pay the money to go do it, just, we're in this 2A world for probably a lot of different reasons. But I tell you what, united we stand, divided we fall, right? I didn't make that up. Somebody else did. Get to know the other people in the industry, get
Absolutely.
to know folks and make friends, be sociable. And that's where a lot of this fun happens.
Absolutely. Well, that's a good segue for us. Let's take a quick break. After the break, let's talk about another way to have some fun with guns, youth shooting programs.
Oh, absolutely.
Franklin Armory binary triggers just got an upgrade. The new AR Elite trigger. Of course, the binary firing system is a 3-position trigger. You can safe, you can fire it semi-auto, but in the 3rd position, it fires 1 round on pull and 1 round on release. Now, the new AR Elite trigger comes with premium features, including interchangeable trigger bows. So you can choose between a curved trigger or a straight flat face trigger. Also easy to install, straight, smooth trigger pull, 4.5 pounds plus or minus a half pound. Positive reset. So go check it out, franklinarmory.com. SecureItGunStorage.com. We talk about SecureIt because they make just really cool products, and we have a bunch of them here. We have the lockers, we have some of their agile safes, and when people come into Gun Talk headquarters, we often get that question of like, ooh, what's these? They're all stacked up and it's like a cool wall of storage for your guns and your gear. But they do a good job of providing a lot of different options for storing your goods, gun walls, accessories, and you can kind of customize the configuration inside to really maximize the space for what you want it to work for. So you can learn more over at SecureItGunStorage.com. Enter to win the Ultimate Builder Giveaway presented by Buildbox. Here's your chance to win from over 100 incredible prizes from top brands like Caldwell, Real Avid, Wheeler Tools, Brownells, Aero Precision, Timney Triggers, Ballistic Advantage, EOTECH, and Tipton, and even more. You can also win guns built on the show. Don't miss out. Visit BuildboxTV.com to enter and gear up for your next build. RCBS was founded in 1943 by Fred Huntington in Oroville, California, and they're still at it today, making dies and shell holders, presses, and all sorts of reloading supplies, trusted for decades. Get into reloading again with RCBS, rcbs.com. The new Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 bridges the gap between a gun that's easy to carry and one that's easy to shoot. Small and lightweight at only 9.8 ounces. But plenty of .380 auto with 10 and 12 round magazines. See the new Bodyguard at smith-wesson.com. So yeah, we'll continue on this kind of train of thought of like different ways to enjoy guns and have fun with it. And I know I've heard a lot of people who hunt who got into hunting as a kid and then hunting on their own as a teenager, high school, college age person, young guy. And then it changes because maybe you've hunted a lot, maybe you've gotten to kill lots of deer or whatever it is. And then you have kids or you've got kids that you're mentoring and it switches where it's like, now I'm all about taking them and showing them hunting, but also shooting. Dan, it sounds like you've been doing a lot of that, huh?
Well, I mean, gosh, my best hunting buddy is my son, and I wouldn't change that for the world. We've been able to, foster a really great relationship, not only on again Nevada, and prior to this, many years, some say too many on the other side of freedom in California, but fantastic, bird hunting and even deer hunting over there as well. That we share a common bond with that together, and it's it's fun. And I know a lot of guys that even have their daughters come out, and there's plenty of young aspiring huntresses. I don't know if you would say that or not, but
Sure.
that outdo me. I mean, they've got some amazing trophies at home, and I was like, wow, oh yeah, my dad took me to do this, and I got this antelope here, and I got this here, and that's super, super awesome that even dads and daughters have that connection. And, here in Nevada, we not only blessed with a lot of great hunting opportunities that we do. I mean, my son had been a junior hunter for a long time, and you get junior hunts, and he just now aged out of that. So, but he's able to take himself to our local, it's called Washoe Lake, and it's a local lake, and he got his, first mallard of the season. He was all excited about that. And just, our, Jay Jacobson, our
Sure.
founder and president, right after NASGW, where, you were talking to us, he took a week off and took his son, Troy, who I believe is 13, out just northern part of the state. If anybody's familiar with an area called Winnemucca, Paradise Valley up there, gorgeous area. And Troy got his first buck. And
Awesome.
so it's even within the company, and again the community, we know so many other people at different companies or the FFLs themselves, that they all go out and enjoy hunting, and a lot of them do it with their kids, and it really is a great bonding opportunity, but it's a good learning opportunity. I mean, if you go back to the history of our country, right, there are presidents who write in there, you go to the presidential libraries and you see, whether it be Jefferson or, Adams, and they're always talking about, yes, I, took my son out shooting, and this is like 1760 something. And they were talking about how, training, shooting, at the time was ground squirrels, rabbits, or something like that. But, it was the application again of a tool that back then you needed for food. And but still today, it's maybe not as much of a need for some people. But I tell you, not much on this planet beats a good venison burger or venison steak, or, even some, we always do our pulled goose sliders. It's another one of our favorites. I mean, we just had duck tacos last night because, again, my son, when hunting season comes around, he likes to kind of fill our bellies with his talent.
Well, and the coolest thing is when you have kids who, when you start with catching fish or shooting critters, when you're able to say, we're eating, Jimmy's deer tonight. He fed the family. That's cool. A really cool thing for a kid. I'll give you another one, Dan, as far as reasons people need to take kids out shooting guns and hunting. Mm-hmm. Long-term preservation of the Second Amendment, because if you grow up and you're like, oh, I have daughters. I have daughters, and people were like, oh, I guess if you have sons, you're going to teach them how to shoot, right? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm teaching my kids how to shoot. I don't care if it's a boy or girl. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they have a knowledge of guns and gun safety, teaching responsibility, also understanding that guns are not inherently evil or good. They're just inanimate objects. And so long-term, you're planting those seeds, because the other way can go too, where you say the kid grows up to be an adult. What do you know about guns? I don't know. My dad was into them, but he never took me. I don't know anything about them. I ended up just playing, video games and listening to Taylor Swift. And then they basically let their peers, their high school friends, their college friends, their in their late 20s friends, tell them what to think. And, young people like to move into to the city, right? When you get out of college, I want to move to the city, want to get a job, start working, whatever. And then you're living in Los Angeles or Chicago or Houston or Atlanta, and you're just out of that world. And it's just inherent. Unless you really are in it at a young age, you're not going to care. You're not going to have any knowledge about it. And possibly you could be neutral at best, but at worst, maybe they turn into, I guess, some restrictions on these types of guns is a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up some great memories, of, again, that transition, from college into some of the bigger cities, that I did myself. A little tangent, because I have 2 points I want to talk about. Yeah. I was fortunate enough to have my family move to Nevada when I was 10, right? And in 5th grade, and again, that small little town of Winnemucca, Nevada, we were talking about up there, first day of school, at the very end, they're like, oh, well, we have 2 after-school programs for you here. You can either choose home economics or hunter safety. Yeah, and awesome. I was like, what? Hunter safety? Yes, please, sign me up. And we would actually, on the school playground, this is how much the world's changed and stuff, 22s and 410 and 20 gauge shotgun on the school playground. Yeah. The school, everybody went home for the day. We set up all the targets, and we had at it. And fast forward, moved to some of those bigger cities that you had mentioned for career advancement stuff, and kind of had the gun for protection, but didn't really have many of the opportunities, because you're kind of consumed with that lifestyle. But then after I got married and had kids and slowly started moving back and closed that loop and returned back to Nevada, along the way, we've got some really, really great programs. My son is a member of CYSSA. It's a California Youth Shooting Sports Association. And I give a shout out to them if you're on the West Coast, because it's not just California, it's California, Nevada, I think, Arizona, Oregon, and possibly Utah participate in it as well. Okay. But it's clay target shooting. So it's trap, it's skeet, it's sporting clays, which I tell you what, that's so much fun to have. It's like golf with guns. Oh yeah. Right. In fact, I love it. You get a little golf cart and you get to go around to, 18 holes or, 20 different stations that are each individually different. And they even change them up from week to week, much like a golf course, on the green and stuff. So the hole's not, the flag's not where it is, the week before. And it has been so much fun. And to see not only my son, who was fortunate enough to have me and, into hunting. And so I kind of it was a natural progression for him. But a lot of the kids on his team didn't come from families that hunted. And next thing you know, it's the kid enjoys it and brings the parents into it as well. So there's like a reverse effect from some of these gun clubs that I mean, this is just California, and hear similar stories. I mean, in the South, in Texas, it's huge. The Southeast, apparently Wisconsin, believe it or not, has like a huge youth,
like 10,000 kids. Yeah, it's crazy.
And so it's still alive and well out there, and it's I don't know the right word to go, but let's just call it, it's a two-way street to where, these kids are getting into it because of parental maybe guidance. And it's even having a reverse effect where a lot of these kids are even bringing their parents in there. But it's unfortunate that there are so many obstacles out there, whether it's, state laws and folks that either don't understand or do understand, and they just have an ulterior motive of removing that, not just this overall Second Amendment, but that hunting tradition, the tradition of what the firearms played in the survival of not only our country but around the world. And but it's neat to see that while things may not be as plentiful, you might not have a hunter's ed course on the school playground anymore in very few places. I love seeing, for example, a homeschool kid, one of my son's best buddies, never was into hunting. Family didn't really know much about hunting. Got his hunting, went through hunter education online now, because you can take them all online and satisfy your local state's requirements for youth hunters. And I think he just signed up because he took him hunting the other day. We were doing our duck tacos with, and he's signed up like in a couple of weeks to take his on-site, test requirement to get his youth hunting license. Awesome. And so even my son's having that influence on his peers to get him into doing things. And so I think you made a really, really good point, Ryan. It's up to us as the adults to keep passing that along. But if you do it right, I could probably lose count if I try to count on how many people my son has gotten into hunting or his competitive clay shooting. Kids that never shot trap before are actually doing really, really, really well with it. And who would have known if they would have never had that door open for them?
Yeah, it's a very cool sport because it's kind of any kid of any stature. You don't have to be tall like in basketball or huge like in football. Any stature can do well with it. It's a co-ed thing. And then you kind of alluded to it, Dan. One little trick for you is let your kid bring a friend. They'll be more interested in it if they get to bring their friends along and show them the ropes, because they're in the know. They're like, oh, I know how to do this. Let me show you how sporting clays works. And they're going to be more likely to want to do it. Because, I mean, look, if you're a teenager, you want to hang out with your friends. They don't want to hang out with dad. Not as much as they want to hang out with their friends. All right, look, let's take a quick break. And I want to talk more about going back to binary triggers and some of the fun with that and some of the stuff you guys are up to.
We got a few of them.
Hodgdon, they're the gunpowder people. And one of the ones that people really like is Hodgdon CFE BLK, CFE Black, optimized for 300 AAC blackout subsonic loads, but it's also ideal for the 17 Hornet, 7.62 by 39, 221 Fireball. So you have some options on things that you can load with this powder. One of the cool things about this, the CFE contains the copper fouling eraser ingredient, originally used in military propellant, which greatly deters copper fouling and contributes to longer periods of top accuracy with less barrel cleaning time. We like this. Go check them out over at Hodgdon.com. For cleaning or maintenance, the Tipton Best Gun Vise 360 sets the benchmark. The ball head accommodates any conceivable configuration. Swappable jaw pads optimize the grip on your gun without the risk of marring. To see the Tipton Best Gun Vise 360 in action, visit TiptonClean.com. Range Ready is where we run our classes, rangereadystudios.com. So go over there to check out the classes and events that we have going on. These things go fast. Another little known thing about Range Ready is we will provide you a pistol if you need one for running a class, or even an AR. But there's no charge for that. We don't rent you a gun and there's an upcharge. It's just available for your use. So it's a pretty cool deal. Go check it out, rangereadystudios.com. Save on CZ Firearms with the CZ Fall Rebate. Receive up to a $100 rebate on select CZ Firearms from now through December 31st. Learn more about the CZ Fall Rebate at cz-usa.com. You know EOTECH for high-quality optics, but here's a new one, the EOTECH HWS EXP S3 DCR. I know that's a lot of letters, but what does DCR mean? Danger Close Reticle. Provides fast and accurate shots at typical distances, but also an effective close combat aiming point. It's kind of two reticles in one, which is great for an optic like this. You can learn more at eotechinc.com. All right, so we're back. We were talking about full auto to start off this thing a little bit, and what's fun is you guys, Franklin Armory always has interesting, fun products. Probably one of the things you're best known for is the binary trigger. Anything new there that you guys are up to?
Absolutely. I think when we connected, a couple of weeks ago in Kansas City, we were talking about let's get back together online. I was like, it's been a whole year since we last talked. And we've been quite busy. I have to remind myself and go back well, what am I going to bring to talk to Ryan about? And it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, we did this, and this. And at the very beginning, as we were getting ready, we were talking about, a lot of things that's happened in the industry, and with pistol braces now being back, and
braces are back. In case someone listening to this is like, wait, I thought that you couldn't do that anymore. Look, just keep up, everybody. Keep up. Yeah. Yes, you can have a pistol AR and put a brace on it.
We get a lot of pushback. Like they never went away. If because there's a lot of people that were like, yeah. But legally, things are looking good on that front. So we rolled out 3 new pistols configurations. Of course, AR pistols with the binary firing system, so 7.5-inch PDW, right? We have a 12-inch and a 12.5 that runs a mid-length gas system on it, making it really, really smooth, especially in binary mode, which for some of your viewers that may not be familiar with it, Franklin Armory, that's probably what we're most known for. And it is a patented pull and release trigger system that allows you to fire not only on the pull of a semi-automatic trigger, but if a pull is a function, and by definition, then the release has to be a function. Release triggers had been around for many years. We were talking about trap shooting. There's still a lot of competitive trap shooters that use release triggers. And along the point,
flinching, by the way, everybody, if you run into a flinching problem, that's one of the tricks. That's one of the old school tricks.
And so kind of an epiphany moment for, again, Jay Jacobson, our founder, was, after we had started off Franklin Armory in the state of California, it's one of the very first manufacturers and distributors of the old bullet button AR, right? That was the only way you were able to legally get an AR-15 style firearm in the state. But as we needed to pivot from that, from a competitive standpoint, again, pull, bang, pull, bang, pull, bang that's traditional semi-automatic. It's, defined very much so. So that's legal. If release, bang, release, bang, release, bang is also approved, it's why would pull bang and release bang together? Kind of like peanut butter and chocolate, right? Two great things go great together. And hence the binary firing system was born. And from that first trigger for the AR that we did, we then grew that, developed the technology, grew that out to over 10 different platforms that we have. And we'll go over here a few in just a second here. And even have evolved the technology, or evolved, again, how it's how our customers can experience it with some new products. And and it's been, again, federally legal because of the definition of a semi-automatic trigger is 1 round fired per function of the trigger. So hence you can fire on the pull and release. But part of our technology is the ability to cancel that release round. So everybody's like, well, what if I don't want to fire that release round? Well, as the trigger's depressed, you simply, on any of our rifles or PCCs, which are 3-position selectable, you just take it out of binary mode, select it back over into traditional semi-automatic, release the trigger, and no bang. And I'll probably even demonstrate. You got time to do a little product run?
Sure, yeah. People listening for this will love this. Now, if you're listening to this, you can watch these shows on our YouTube or Facebook or whatever. So Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, that is one of the questions that people ask all the time, Dan. And how long ago, when was the first binary trigger that you guys brought out?
I believe, geez, good question. I think 2015 would have
Okay.
been
So
the start.
almost 10 years.
Correct. Yeah. And since then, like I said, for the AR, for the AK platform, for HK, MP5, 91, 93, it also works in. Then Ruger 1022 and the Ruger PC carbine and charger
Yeah.
developed for that. And so we're always looking for, firearms where, I mean, not only is there a large amount of them that, that have been purchased by somebody who would be looking for an aftermarket trigger. But the engineering comes into play, right? We have to be able to, figure out a way to make the binary firing system work in the firearm, but also to incorporate what we were talking about before. Part of our patent is the selectable, being able to select between each of them. So you're not always in binary mode. You have your safe, and then you have semi-automatic, and then binary mode. And in the case, we'll go over here in a second with the Glock triggers, since Glock doesn't have an actual safety, it's built into the trigger mechanism, that it's a two-position selector. So you'll go from your traditional semi-automatic into your binary mode, and that kind of helps us to kind of segue in there. We
Absolutely.
The last time we talked, we had just started probably shipping our GS173 for the Glock 17. And that was our very first striker fire or binary firing system for a striker fire handgun. And that's for the Glock 17. Well, of course, everybody wants it for the more compact Glock 19.
Of course.
And so just a little while ago, we announced that. And, just so we can see here, everything's open. So I'm not flagging, even though you're way, way, way over there.
Yeah, I feel very safe. You can point it wherever you want.
But just to be able to again show, the functionality of it, you can't select anything on a regular Glock. So for the Glock trigger kit, it not only comes with the trigger assembly, but a really nice full feature slide, right? It's optics ready. So I don't even go there. It's cut for optics. We've even put some really nice tritium night sights.
Yeah, those are some nice, fixed sights, optics cut. So when they get the Glock kit, and we're kind of, people think of it as a binary trigger kit. It is, because the Glock is its own thing. You don't have you're not just swapping out a safety and a trigger. It's the slide. The slide's cut for optics. It has a nice set of sights. It's got the trigger. So it's kind of an upgrade, like a lot of people are doing with Glock aftermarket. They'll get a different slide because they like the look of it or different functionality.
Well, that's just it. I mean, we want to try to provide value to our customers, because it's with the PCCs and the rifles, it's just a trigger assembly, right? But yes, we had to be able to engineer the ability to A, select, and B, like we mentioned before, you may be able to hear it, but we go into binary mode. As you pull the trigger, the hammer, not the hammer, striker on this one, the striker will hit the pin and it'll fire. It'll cycle. And when you release, you'll hear a quick reset and then it'll drop again. But, so you fire, it cycles. You don't want that release round, right? Downrange. Just switch back into traditional semi-automatic. When you release, no bang. Striker will not fall.
So that was the trigger resetting, but not the striker falling.
Correct. Yeah. And so even, people who are familiar with a 3 position trigger, and again, and I'll kind of bring this up to demonstrate that as well. On the Glock, it's only 2 positions, but you still, because to be a genuine binary trigger, right? It has to be able to be selectable. And have that release round cancellation. And it's the same thing with this one. It's a little more bulky for it to go, but you just, as you're in binary mode and you fire, let's go bring this down here and you fire, right? And it will cycle, release, bang, pull, bang. Now, same thing though, you don't want to fire that release round. Simply, let me make sure I'm here. Just toggle it back here. I could have done it from the other side here because we have ambi controls on it. But then when you release it, again, just an audible click for the reset. And so all of our triggers have that functionality built into it. And this particular one, again, we talk about how busy we've been, just to kind of segue into this entire rifle. You might have noticed that little logo right there next to the
Osprey Defense.
Osprey Defense. So a number of years ago, we acquired Osprey Defense. Some might be familiar with it. They had a gas piston kit for the AR-15 that was really popular. You could just drop it right in there and change your DI into a gas piston gun. And we acquired that because we were utilizing that technology in our F-17, which was the world's first gas piston rimfire, right? So trying to take that dirty rimfire stuff that was getting in the action and disperse that out. And as the handguards of these AR-15 started to become a little bit more, low profile, contemporary looks and stuff, that more bulkier piston that was in that original kit kind of started kind of falling out of favor. So it took us a while to develop it, but we announced this at SHOT Show. And the best thing about this new piston system that will be coming out in the Osprey Defense OPS 16, a 60-inch rifle, is it's self-regulating.
Oh,
right?
okay.
We've been able to make it to where there's no adjustment on a gas block because it doesn't need it. You can put a suppressor on it, take it off. Well, actually, it probably a little bit hot, but when we were testing it out on the range at SHOT Show, we would let folks fire 5 rounds unsuppressed, throw a can on, no adjustments needed. 5 more rounds went down without a hitch, right? The engineers basically in a lot of trial and error came up with the right amount of surface area to disperse everything that just makes this work that way. And so we're really, really excited. We're like right around the corner from starting to ship this. We believe it's going to be probably one of the best value gas piston systems on the market out there. And so it's nice that this circle, again, from the acquisition of Osprey Defense to now that we're going to be starting to ship this year very soon, we're really proud of this system.
Well, and that's a big deal also because so many people are buying suppressors these days and really kind of getting used to just shooting suppressed as a regular way of shooting. Like that's just how they do it all the time. And something that self-regulates that way is very cool because it really, on an AR in particular, running it suppressed or unsuppressed, it changes the gases. It changes the way, it can change the way a gun runs. And if it runs, frankly, reliably, but I mean, not having to worry about that, that's pretty cool technology. Dan, you guys are always doing new stuff and cool stuff. Anything else people need to know about?
Well, kind of saving the best for last, right?
All right, cool.
But yeah, I mean, again, as I look back and saw that since the last time we talked, I mean, we've come out with another trigger for a very, very popular pistol caliber carbine, the Strybog SP9. See, it's a cassette, drops straight in, very easy to put in there. Makes, having fun with that gun. And again, defensive applications for that. 2 rounds very quickly to have, again, short time frames in between each fires. It was also, really tight groupings, all achievable with this. So if you have a Strybog and you want to drop one of those, then it's great.
Very cool.
This probably is one of the best things that we did this last year. Kind of simple, but it really is kind of changing the direction. It's the first evolution, if you will, of the binary firing system trigger, right?
Okay.
Where people who've bought them in the past, you either had a straight trigger, right? The AR S1 or a curved trigger, depending on your preference, right? And everything was kind of fixed. These days you're, kind of pun intended, Benjamin Franklins don't go as far as they used to, right? And so if somebody maybe had one of the curved, one of the straights, but they prefer the other now because they've gotten used to it or maybe didn't like it, and, maybe the straight trigger wasn't for them. It's kind of tough to go out there and just buy a whole nother, $400 trigger system. So one of the things was like, hey, could you make it to where they were interchangeable? And after some tinkering, we did. And not only is it interchangeable it comes with both a straight and curved trigger. So you have the interchangeable trigger bows with it. We throw in a couple of different buffer tubes and some different trigger and hammer springs so that you can customize it. Because every AR, even though you have, mil spec, what these are built for, there's still slightly different tolerances in some of them.
Yeah.
And, some run a little bit differently. And so we want to be able to make sure that you can kind of customize, especially in, different calibers as well, whether it's 7.62, for an AR-10 or 5.56, 15, and there are, the AR-9s for 9mm. This will be able to be customized and work with it. And because the triggers now are interchangeable, that opens the door to a lot of other customizations. We're going to be coming out with some really cool color combos and stuff soon here. Awesome. Because folks are starting to like that. So we've evolved it to try to be more consumer friendly as far as something that they can, make their own, if you will, and not be stuck with something that they had to make a decision on. That in turn opens up a great opportunity for anybody who's stuck around for this interview, because we are actually closing out all of our fixed trigger models, right? So the AR-C1 and the AR-S1 for the AR platform, unbelievably the lowest prices we've ever had them down.
We're blowing them out.
Yeah. And that's not just only through us. I mean, if you go to franklinarmory.com, you'll see the current pricing that we have on them. I think they're $299 right now. So big difference, again, while supplies last for it. But even through a lot of our dealers and distributors, that they have the deals and stuff going on as well. So now's the time. Make great Christmas gifts, obviously.
That's right. That's a good suggestion. It's an easy way to upgrade your gun, and it's a fun way to upgrade your shooting.
Yeah. And actually, I love, you've said upgrade a couple other times, and I think we got you guys one of these, right? I mean, that's what the binary firing system is all about, is upgrading your 2A, right?
That's awesome.
Take it to the next level, and we did the hard work for everybody. We figured out, how can we design a trigger system that doesn't run afoul of ATF or the definition of a semi-automatic trigger by the NFA, and we did so, and thanks for that epiphany, and we're very blessed to have now built a very good company around it, and it allows us to bring it back full circle to continue to take it to the next generation, right? Bring kids out, take them hunting, teach them the defensive applications of firearms, teach them what the Second Amendment really does mean, and that it's not just for a certain group of people, it's for every human being, some might argue, on earth, but the only place we can actually apply it is here in the United States.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dan, thanks a lot. This has been fun, and that's some good stuff, some cool stuff to show everybody. So if you're listening and you're thinking about, holiday time, shopping season, I mean, they're on sale. I mean, you should probably go check them out. franklinarmory.com. Is that where they go, Dan?
That's where they can go. Yeah. Then, like I said, we're closing those out because we got from those 2 SKUs to the 1. So get them while you can, because they won't be there forever.
Yeah. Awesome. Always good to talk to you, my friend. And everybody, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on Gun Talk Nation.